All right, here we are at Plum Creek Christian Church in Butler, Kentucky. I just want to show you what we've done with our Accelerator Pro student, David. So we'll start with the console. So before this SQ7 was here, there was a giant Soundcraft console that took up about half of this booth. There were multiple racks of outboard gear, including compressors. Now everything is compact in our SQ7, and we're even using waves on this. You can see that we have a computer monitor. The first thing that this is doing is multi-track recording. So earlier today we had a rehearsal and we recorded all the individual inputs, and now it's routed to come back into the console. So we were able to utilize that so that we were able to do virtual sound check. So once the team had recorded a song, we played it back. They mixed their in-ears because we also introduced a new in-ear monitoring system, which I'll show you in a little bit. And then also after rehearsal, we were able to show everyone what they sounded like in the room, which is something that David had never been able to do before because he's always been on stage leading the songs. The other thing that we're doing with this computer is we're using Waves SuperRack Performer. The Allen & Heath has all of these channels inserted on it as an insert. We go to a specific channel. I'll choose one of our vocal channels here. And then for our insert, we've got inserted on USB port. It's going out on 17 and then coming back on 17. And then within Waves SuperRack, we've got the input for his vocal coming in on input 17. It's being processed, so we've got waves tune and we've got an F6, and then it's coming back into the console, so we're able to do live tuning, pitch correction, and use that F6 plugin for vocal processing. And we're doing a similar thing with the drums. We're sending the drum signal out of the console into the computer, and we're able to use tools like Smack Attack and Torque on the kick, snare, and toms. The way that we're able to send audio to both a multi-tracking and playback software as well as the Waves SuperRack is that there's a Dante card in the back of this console. And so that is how we're getting audio to and from the multi-track recording. And then the USB cable connected to the Mac Mini is how we're getting audio to and from SuperRack. Some ways that we're controlling the console and controlling the software is number one, a Streamdeck. So this is what we're able to use to just flip back easily between SuperRack and Ableton Live on the computer. We're also able to open up Spotify and then play audio and pause audio just with the Streamdeck. And for Ableton Live, we're able to open up Ableton Live on the Streamdeck, but on the actual Allen & Heath console, we have all these customizable soft buttons. And so we're using soft button number 1 to send a MIDI note, and then that MIDI note is received by Ableton Live. And so if I were to hit soft button number 2 for stop, it stops on Ableton Live, and then we can hit record from the console as well. The other way that we're using the MIDI control from the Allen & Heath is that we have these soft buttons triggering program changes. So we've got chromatic. So when I hit that button and we look at our SuperRack, we see that we went to chromatic for our snapshot so that all of the waves tune is set to chromatic. And then if I hit G, you can see up there it changed to G major. Like I said, David had an analog console previously, so all of the floor pockets on the stage were being sent to the front of house. And so to make sure that we could use the stage rack, which I'll show you in a little bit, he had to resolder each one of these floor pockets to come from the stage to the side or the back room here, which we'll see in a minute. So before I even got here, Dave had resoldered something like 48 from here all the way to the back. So he had worked really hard on that before I got here. Something else new that I mentioned earlier is we're using the Mi 1s from Allen & Heath to do the in-ear monitoring. Something cool that David is doing for his team with these Mi mixers is that he's got everyone a flash drive that they can save their setup to. So during the week or during rehearsal when they are ready to go, and they have the mix the way that they want it, they can store their preset to the USB key, and then they can name it. So Amy was using this mix, and then they can store it to this flash drive. and then they can take this flash drive with them, or they can put it wherever they want, and then the next time they serve, they can just plug this in, and then they can recall their preset, and now Amy's mix is back on here for the next time she serves. And while the sound system right now is still mono, I made sure that we set up the guitars and the keys to be stereo, because for our broadcast mix, we want that to be stereo. Eventually the room might become stereo, but at least for now, we made sure that the guitars and the keyboard will be sending stereo so that we can have that stereo spread for our online mix.
I personally went through some of the online trainings. That was kind of how we got started. And then I looked into it further with the Worship Ministry Accelerator program, and just the added resources, not only for me, but also for the whole team for that. And that was really appealing to us. So as we were going through this process, Adam has been a life send. I can't recommend enough the going through this. If I could go back again and start over, that is for sure something that we would stay with. He helped us through the purchasing, through the recommendations, through giving us all the different options and the different resources that were out there, training videos, making training videos, the one-on-one VIP calls. I can't recommend it highly enough. Super happy with the whole process, super happy with the end result here. Our team is energized. We're really excited about the changes. You know, it's a little bit intimidating because our team was really more familiar with the analog side of things. But that being said, instead of being scared, they seem to be excited about learning this new stuff and all the different possibilities that this opens up for us. Like I said, not just here in person, but then also with our online presence, just being able to make that match.
So this bass amp backstage, it has a direct output. So what we did was just turn down the master so that we're not having this backstage bass rumbling in throughout the room. And because the musicians are using in-ears, there's no need to have this bass amp actually hitting this back wall, coming into this hallway that's back here and just sending a bunch of rumbly bass everywhere. So we just turned the master down, and so that we were able to lower the stage noise. This drum shield is also new. Having one that has a lid on it and really isolating the drum sound so that it's not bouncing around out through the room, especially behind here, up into this cavity behind the kit. So this is really able to give us more control of the mix at front of house. We also adjusted the overheads and we added a snare bottom so that we can get more of that snare sound out of the snare. Okay, so we are backstage, or kind of side stage, and this rack has all of the amplifiers in it. And so before I had got here, after Sunday, David had installed this GX4816. So it's got 48 inputs and 16 outputs. And so we have Cat 6 cable that was run from front of house to here to provide all the audio over the Cat cable. And then he had run all of these cables from the floor pockets into here. So that's what's allowing us to get all the audio signal from here to front of house. He also installed this MEU personal mixer hub. So this provides power over Ethernet to all of the Mi's that we have out there. So all of those are powered and get audio and data signal over Cat 6 cables, which he has on top of the stage, but he's going to be putting underneath of the stage. So here we have the old Soundcraft Series 2 console. This is what was at front of house previously, along with these different, this power supply that came with it for the console. We've got CD recorders, CD changer. We've got our old Aviom system, some compressors, lexicon, reverb, and a patch panel. So all of this gear used to be at front of house. All of this gear and more was at front of house before. One other cool thing that we did is that we have these 4 TVs around this pillar and then this TV over here. And so we made sure that these were set to automatically turn on at 8 o'clock a.m. on Sundays and turn off at 12:30 p.m. on Sundays. So that's one less thing that people have to worry about in getting ready for Sunday morning. Upstairs, as David affectionately calls it, the crow's nest. We've got our lighting setup and our ProPresenter setup, which I didn't really touch much at all, but one thing that I did do was I set their pre-service royalty-free music up in a playlist here. And so this playlist is being triggered by this pre-service macro, so that audio is playing on channels out 3 and 4. And that only goes to the live stream. And then when we hit the welcome slide, that audio fades out. So pre-service, it sets the right look, it plays that audio playlist, and it turns on the prop layer. And the prop layer has our countdown, and the countdown prop has both the 9 a.m. and the 11 a.m. countdown. So we're just using the visibility to make sure that the right one is showing. And then right before 9 a.m. or 9:30, actually it's 9:30 service, and 11 a.m. timers, whoever's running it, just make sure they click the right timer. Over here, we've got broadcast room. So it looks like, I think videos are filmed sometimes here. So all of this gear was already existing here. Network switch for the PTZ cameras, ATEM2 ME Studio 4K, smart video hub, a recorder back there, and then the control surface, and a multi-view, and then this laptop, because previously all of this sweet gear was getting pumped into this laptop and then outputting on OBS for their stream. But David had bought this Boxcaster, so we set this up to receive the program feed, and previously it was going out on 720p. Now we're using this Boxcaster and we're going to broadcast in 1080p. Audio comes in on this HDMI cable, and audio is fed in with this Dante Avio. So this has 2 XLR cables on it, and it's receiving power over Ethernet. So that's what's powering the device, and is getting a 2-channel feed of the broadcast matrix over Dante from the SQ7. To hear what's happening, we've got an HS5 from Yamaha plugged in up here. And so whoever is listening to it doesn't have to use the TV speaker audio to hear what's happening. They get an actual monitor. So all of this was already installed when I got here. The things that I helped David with was make sure that the Boxcaster was set up and that the HS5 was there. And David was pretty excited about the Boxcaster, being that no one has to program it ahead of time. You can just have it automated every Sunday, and it's gonna go to the right destinations. So it is Saturday night. We just finished making sure that everything was working as we expected, getting the broadcast audio, testing out the Boxcaster, actually doing a test live stream. We had the team earlier here for a rehearsal, so we made sure that we were ready to go for tomorrow. And David has been working really hard on getting ready for this, and he's gonna keep working hard as he continues with the Accelerator Pro program. So a few things that we didn't get to, or we had ideas about while I was actually here that we didn't get to do, is that David's gonna run a single Cat5 cable up to the catwalk, and he's gonna be able to use a AVIO input, so 2 XLR inputs to a Dante converter, so that he can pull in the room mics and he can hang those microphones from the ceiling. He's also going to run the cabling for the Me in-ear monitors under the stage, and then have some patch cables come up from the floor pockets to the Me's to make that cleaner. On the Me's, he also is going to put some little Velcro strips so he can have labels for the musicians so they can see what they're actually mixing without pressing the buttons. And he has the flash drives for all the individual musicians and singers labeled so that they can take that with them and know that it's theirs.
So throughout this process, we really realized we could have gone with some other companies to come and just install stuff and give us a quick training and then be on their way. But what I love and what the team has been so excited about with this Accelerator Plus program is that we not only have new gear, we have a hand to be able to hold as we walk through the transition. And just being able to ask questions and have videos and be able to, it's like having somebody here with us. It's not so intimidating and so overwhelming. That's a huge aspect of what this has been for us.
I'm really happy with what we've come up with so far. So let us know in the comments what you liked about this, what you would have done differently. And you can also find in the description a link to worshipministryschool.com/apply if you're interested in doing a similar route that David did with having me come out and being able to have coaching access. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.